Yeah, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV, and I'm actually live now on the 16 again. We did have some wind 10 minutes ago. Looks like it's eased off a little bit. Just pulling on some downhaul, because as we know, it all starts with pulling on the downhaul. Putting it onto number 3 on the calibration sticker. Hello and hello. Joe here on the 16. I'm just on a mooring here at the moment. Sorry, I had a few false starts with the live stream. YouTube was not playing the game. Who have we got? Otto. Oh wow, I'm not late. No, you're on time. Congratulations. I hope I'm not late either. Okay, I'm just going to get off the mooring and then I'll come back. Okay, so I'm actually holding on to the mooring at the back of the boat, and what that's going to do is turn the front of the boat off the wind until we're ready to start sailing. There we go, easy. Who have we got? Hello, good to see you too. Always good to be on board with the global Joyrider TV community. So, as I said, it was looking pretty good 10 minutes ago. Not the famous Vasiliki cross-shore wind, but some onshore wind. So we'll go out and see if we can find anything. But otherwise we could just have some sort of exchange. Oh, Valentine, show us your cat. So, hi Relentless, nice to have you on board. Okay, so at the moment the wind is really light, and it is quite ambiguous as to which... Hi James, nice to have you on board. We've pulled it to number 3 on the calibration on the downhaul. I'm actually going to get a bit further forwards, both because it's good for the trim, but also it's good for not hitting the bottom with the rudders. This is solid gold. May not be solid gold conditions as we know it, but I think in the really light winds, that's where the biggest changes can be made. Big changes in the strong wind. Oh, hello everybody tuning in. Hi Andre. Yeah, Andre had his first solo sail on the 16 and he lives to tell the tale. I'd say that is a success. Okay, yeah, so in the light wind, it really does take some subtlety. Hi Kush, glad to see you out on the water, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm glad to be out on the water. Spent most of the morning nice sailing. Hi Ernie, hi Christian. Hi Christian, I saw you yesterday evening quite late on the water in sailing a J70, I believe. I think you beat me most of the time as usual. As Christian, he's often on the virtual regatta race course. Hi Marco, nice to have you with us on board. I think I have got a rudder half cocked, so I'm just going to make sure. Now on to current affairs. I've joined the is it Queensland and South Australia Facebook group for Hobie sailors. And they had a post which was 2,500 Aussie dollars for a Hobie 14, which looked really bad. That money translated to I think about 1,500 euros, which is way too much. I think for anything that floats. Hi Giles, 20 knots of breeze here, yeah, lovely. Okay, we've got it the other way around. We've got 25 degrees and more like 8 knots of breeze. if that, no, more like 5. Yeah, I think anything that floats that is a Hobie, especially a 16 or a 14, if you can find one for less than, let's say, 700 euros, that is a rarity. Nice day. Hi Ernesto, good to have you on board here with us. The wind is a little bit light again, so this is going to be much, well, quite similar to last week, unless we do find a bit of breeze. My intention was to stretch my legs on the trapeze, as it generally is when getting on one of these boats. Yeah, so there we go. I thought 700 euros for a Hobie 14 that needs probably a new trampoline, new sails. The amount of love that boat would give you has got to be worthwhile. Okay, so we're coming up to a place where we're going to have to tack. For your information, at the moment you are mounted on the boom. So I think the front view is going to be a bit masty, like that. You can have some front view if you want. So this is why we're going to have to tack, because shortly we are going to hit something unless we tack. So I'm making sure we're sailing as close to the wind as possible, and just gonna kind of walk to the back of the boat for the smoothest transition, initiating the tack, watching for the jib. The wind's coming in the other side of the jib. Pulling through now. Ready to go. Pushing the bottom batten of the jib forwards. Hi Ted, nice to have you on board. Yeah, so that is a good trick with the jib when the wind is really light, is to push the bottom batten forwards to free the battens from the mast. It's a good trick. Okay, and then this tiller extension thing, in light winds you may find it is always in the wrong place. I certainly find that. So the easiest way to get that into the right place, firstly we're going to move this trapeze wire out of the way, so that's up by the shroud, and then to get this tiller extension in the right place, at the moment it's in the right spot if we were going to engage really efficient sailing trim and get up into this position right at the front. But if we were going to move back a little bit, we want to get it the other side of the rigging. So to do that, you can stand up, lift it, and then sit down again. So don't be afraid to stand up if you need to, but just make sure you've got a good stable stance to avoid falling in the water, which could be embarrassing and time consuming. Where is the wind? I think there might be some wind up there, so I think we're going to go for another tack. Yeah, so we've got some low octane action on at the moment. We're on Hobie 16 number 2. That's the boat that we did all of the building with. I haven't yet tried out one of the 16s with the new OS3 trampoline on. I think next sail I'm going to be testing one out. Oh, we've got a bit of breeze there. So there's a bit of breeze coming up. Aim of the game is the trapeze. If we can get out on the trapeze, we'll be laughing. Yeah, it's kind of been a bit all or nothing this week. Fabulous weather generally, but with the wind, it's either been up above 25 knots or 5 knots kind of thing. I have built now a Hobie 14, so if we do get some 25 knots, I'm going to be getting that bad boy out on the water and hoping that the mast doesn't fall down and the trapeze wires don't break. Hobie 14 is notorious our one anyway, for the mast falling down, because for some reason I didn't get new rigging for it, which was foolish. Okay, so here we are, and incidentally, coming up very soon on Joyrider TV, we're going to have a video about what to wear when you go sailing. It's actually been suggested on 2 different continents. So if you've got that sort of continental spread on suggestions, it means it's going to happen. So at the moment, I've obviously got buoyancy aid. Personally, I always sail with a buoyancy aid, both for this helping you float, which is very nice. You get your pocket, which has got all your stuff in it. I keep a load of shackles, clevis pins, split rings, some tape, a knife, a bit of string. You never know when you may need a bit of string in there. So I think it's always a good idea to wear a buoyancy aid. Perhaps if you're in a place where the regulations aren't so tight and it's really hot, to have one on the trampoline if the wind is really, really light is enough. But there we go. I've got the trapeze harness on, and then I've got a wetsuit top on because it was a bit windier when I set off. So I thought a bit of warmth would do. Need a rigging knife. Yeah, I've got the Gerber power frame. It's just a small knife which will cut any ropes or cut through the trampoline if things started getting a bit too real. Right, where is the wind? That is the question. All right, so we'll go for a tack, go a bit further out to sea in this search for breeze. All right, here we go. So this time we can tack with, you get the back view. So I've got the main sheet in pretty tight, but I'm just focusing on the course a bit at the moment. We've just gone a little bit high there. Taking the main sheet in a bit tighter, coming to the back, sticks up high. Initiating the turn, watching the jib's back, now pulling the boom out, then under the boom. We're looking forwards as soon as we can, then with the jib, like we said, pushing the bottom batten forwards, catching the tiller extension on the trapeze as we go through. That is standard, and there we are, we're back in the game. So when the wind is oh, hold on, in Sweden we hail. Oh my goodness, that sounds pretty extreme. Yeah, quite different to what we're into just here. But it seems like more of the world is allowed out sailing jiggers. Did you like yes, Sophie's Hobie 13, yes, for sure. That is going to be in the next episode of Show Us Your Cat, which is very exciting. Oh, this is also going to be big news. The response with, oh, hi Tim. Nice to have Florida on board. Hope you're doing okay in Florida. Did I hear there's some fires sweeping through Florida at the moment? If there are, then best place to be is probably out on a boat. Or maybe there's more important things to do. But everyone stay safe, whatever your situation. Stay safe. Buoyancy aid is a good idea. Helps you stay safe when you're on the water. Fires in the west. Sophie is an awesome sailor. Yes, seen some good pictures. And yeah, so I think the response from Show Us Your Cat has been pretty remarkable this week. We've had quite a few boats sent in, so I think Show Us Your Cat is going to go ahead as usual this Sunday. That is massive news. Somehow that news isn't, well, that's the first time it's been announced, so it'll be in the headlines tomorrow, I'm sure. Okay, so the wind has got even lighter. It has been pretty hot here today. Oh, sorry, Tim, I didn't quite catch that. That's the difficulty of having the camera on the boom. Quite difficult to read the comments. Okay, so the wind has gone even lighter. So now the focus on the boat is pretty much 100% on these telltales on the front. Let's see if we can. Mast is in the way. These bits of tape on the front, we're just focusing on those bad boys, making sure that at no point they're coming straight towards us, because that will mean that the wind has changed and we're trying to sail the boat straight into the wind, which obviously will mean that we can't actually go along. So focusing on the telltales. But out of no wind, it does feel like something is coming. If we manage to get out on the trapeze during this session, then I'd say that is a result. So, can you do some Hobie Dragoon sailing, please? Yes. Yeah. We're actually getting a new OS3 trampoline for our Dragoon as well, so that Dragoon is going to be a pretty hot ticket. So once we've got that trampoline, yes, the Dragoon will be on, and yes, we'll be taking it out to see what its upper wind range is, and yes, it is going to sting a bit at times. All right, yeah, so the wind is just filling in now. Hi, Freddie. How can I do what you do? Yeah, it takes years, but it's not a bad question, actually. How do you get into living a rock and roll catamaran sailing lifestyle? What's your favourite boat? Favourite boat, above 25 knots, the Hobie 16, less than 25 knots, then that would be the Tornado, I would say. Yeah, so to get into this lifestyle, first thing you need to do is loads and loads of sailing. Whenever you can, whatever type of boat you can get out on, just get as much time on the water as possible. I was quite fortunate when I was younger, from about 10 or 12 years old. I lived by the coast in the UK and just got involved with sailing in a big way because it was the first time that had been available, because I lived in the inland before then, and went sailing pretty much every day of the year, and got hold of an old, knackered, beaten up Dart 18, which me and that Dart 18 went everywhere together. It was like a young boy with a dog, except the dog was a Dart 18. And sailed that boat every single day, single-handed, or I'd take out my friends from school, but just sailed it and just all the time. And from that much time on the water, you get something you can't actually learn, and that is the feel for it. The feel will only come from time on the water. And what I mean by the feel is you'll know if the boat is sailing as quickly as it should be, if it feels balanced correctly, so that is what we mean by feel, which you get from time on the water. And then, so continuing in how to get into a position like this. Once you've got your sailing sorted, you then need to get a qualification as a sailing instructor. That is because you obviously have to be able to pay the bills. In a place like this, where there's sailing holiday places that are generally looking for sailing instructors, is the speed stick just cats? No, we've got cats, monos. We haven't opened it for foiling yet. James says, how do you like foiling on a cat? I haven't yet, but I can't wait. Looking forward to that. Hi, Damien. Another easy day on the water, yeah. I was hoping for a more difficult day on the water, but just looking for a bit more breeze. Yeah, so the summary, how to get out here: get really good at sailing by doing a lot, get qualified as a sailing instructor, and then apply to absolutely everywhere. Exactly. Yeah. All right. I think once again, it'd probably be a good idea not to sail out here too far. So jealous. Sorry, that's the only bit that I got of that. Yeah, perhaps these live videos, it would just look into getting a 49er or an RS 800. I'd say the 800 will. The 800 is massively easier to sail. Have you ever sailed a Bobcat? I haven't sailed one, but I've seen quite a lot of them. I think they do a good job. They seem fairly robust. They are used in a lot of sailing centres in Europe. Similar hull shape to the Dart 18, but more durable than the Dart 18. But yeah, I think it's a viable option. No boom on a lot of them. So for a first catamaran, I think the Top Cat would be a fair choice. Fair choice. Okay, a little bit of breeze coming down now. Hopefully this will be the breeze that allows the stretching of the legs on the trapeze. Speed stick alert. Able to get on the water. A Magenica bag, yeah. Hi, Steve. No, unfortunately, Bob isn't out here. He's not shipwrecked, but stranded on the east coast of England. There are much worse places to be than on the east coast, but there are also places where he'd rather be, such as here. Any breeze in that breeze? No, not at this time. Yeah, I might start taking it downwind. Are you using the new shoe? Yes, I am. That is the shoe. What a legend he is. He'll be very pleased to hear that, because it is true, of course. Bob, incidentally, is my dad, and he's been spending his summers out here, but he has been locked down in the UK, so he's not here. Okay, yes, I've got the new shoes on. That's why I was really keen to get out on the trapeze to see how they perform on the trapeze. What is the water temperature? Yeah, I am in a wetsuit. It's a pretty lightweight wetsuit. But the water temperature, if there was spray involved, would be chilly. I can't put a number on it. I'm not very good with numbers of water temperature. There's, sailed out of this pocket of wind. But what is the minimum wind speed to trapeze? That is a very good question, Andre. I would say single-handed on a 16. What, 6 knots? I think 6 knots. That should do it. Depends obviously on the weight of the sailor, but I think 6 knots, 7 knots of wind for single hand, maybe a bit more, 8 knots, definitely 8 knots. But when you hit 10 knots, single-handed on a 16, then you are trapezing upwind all of the time. If you want to, or if you didn't want to, you could just be flying a hull or just taking it easy. Life's full of choices, as we know. Okay, so that bit of breeze that looked like it was coming, it doesn't look like it arrived. So I think what we're going to do is switch to our very efficient downwind sailing position. Let's get a bit of angle on here. Oh, there you've got the close-up of the downhaul. That sort of action. So I'm actually pulling the jib out, making sure it's not catching, and then getting into, sorry, unfortunately I can't read any comments at the moment because I am in this position at the front of the boat. And as I said last week, this position is quite effective. I'd say at the moment, not only is it increasing our active waterline length, but it's bringing the rig forwards a bit. So it's using gravity to help fill the sails. And actually I've got the GPS on, there we are, we're doing 7 knots. That is remarkable, considering there's, yeah, Damien, that water is cold. I've just got some up the leg, and I can confirm, chilly. But the air temperature is pretty decent. It must be high 20s air temperature. But yeah, low water temperature. Okay, so that was it. Oh no, we weren't doing 7 knots, that was the top speed, beg your pardon. This is the downside of the Loco-Sys GPS as opposed to the Timex, is it is slightly more confusing to operate, especially if you haven't used it for a while. Sorry about the shaky camera, by the way. Seems to be the downside of being attached to the boom. Apologies, that was a poor choice. But I think unless it is actually windy, the next week's live video we'll stay on land and we'll just talk about the boat on land, like do a question and answer session there. Okay, hello to everybody who's just joining us. I'm not actually able to read the messages as they appear because the screen is too far away for my eyes. All right, I think we'll go for a jibe. So, moving around the boat in these light winds, when we've got a fair bit of distance to cover around the boat, I'm just going to put the camera back there. We're going to walk around. So, walking to the back, steering as we go. Just going to duck under the boom. Just helping the battens across there. Okay, and we're back on the new side. Okay, so what does that say? Oh no, I can't. It's too far away. I just can't read it. Okay, so new objective of the session is just to make sure that we can get back to the beach as the wind has gone so light. That is one of the issues with sailing in a place which the wind only really exists from the thermal system, is if the thermal system's not working, then you don't get much. The thermal system that we have here is fueled by a northwesterly gradient wind, which there was a bit of it earlier on today, but the forecast did actually say it was going to be dropping off, which it has seemed to have done. Oh, there we go, we're doing 1.23 knots. That is not going to get us on the stick, not this time. All right, so seeing as it's remarkably slow, I'm just going to demount the camera so that we can have a bit more of a chat as we go along, making sure not to drop water. Right, you're now there we go, you can look up at the sails as we're going along. Very nice too, I think you'll find. Just tying a security loop in my security bit of string. Oh, it looks like there's a fishing boat coming towards us, which means that maybe I should start looking at where we're going. Oh yeah, maybe I should. All right, so just heading up a bit. And we're back on board. So let's flip you around so you can see. There we go. This is a traditional Greek fishing boat. Just out for a spot of fishing, or perhaps just to get out of the house for a bit. Depends what the domestic situation is like for that particular fisherman. Oh, keeps telling me we've got to keep it this way up. Okay, yeah, so this mega light wind sailing on the 16 is quite comfortable. Here we go, let's go for a... So this is the sort of position we're looking at, sitting on the bow, feet up there. There's the Zero Shoes Colorados. They were just itching to get out on the trapeze, didn't quite manage it due to lack of wind, but I'm sure they're going to perform very well indeed when that day comes. Current speed, we had it up at 2 knots there, so very impressive. I've just got the mainsail really loose, just letting gravity and the little bit of wind do what it can there. We've actually got the jib currently caught on the mast, but if we're to move around, we'll disturb the flow of everything. So I'm actually not going, yeah, maybe, because we've got quite a long way to go, I should really stand up and unping that, but what can you say? Okay, so just some very peaceful sailing, light winds. But now would be the time if anybody's got any questions, because I haven't got a lot else on now, and I can see the screen very clearly now, seeing as I took it off the boom. So there we go, if anybody's got anything. Otherwise, thanks very much for coming along for the ride. It certainly makes it a lot more interesting. Which would be the most suitable touring cat for a couple? Great question. Of kind of this kind of catamaran, like beach catamarans, if we're talking, the classic was always the Hobie 18 Magnum. That's the Hobie 18 which has got the wings. Because the wings mean you could go long distances. You don't have to trapeze, you can just sit on the wings. The wings are really very comfortable If it's light winds, you can use the wings as a backrest. So it's just, I think if you're going a long way, comfort is important. Also with the wings on the Magnum, or anything that's got wings, the wings can be used for storage of your equipment and stuff. James is suggesting the Getaway. I'd say the Getaway, I'd make that sort of noise. The Pearl. Yeah, I'd say the Pearl, if you've got a decent budget. Do you have any recommendation of where to buy replacement parts? Any Hobie dealer in whichever country you're in should be able to steer you in the right direction. That is the best that we can do. I know if you're in America, then places like Murray's is very good for Hobie parts. They certainly seem to have a good range. What are you streaming with? I'm using a telephone at the moment, which seems to, it's been reliable. I've been trying to get the GoPro to work for the streaming, but the GoPro's just keeps hitting me with more and more, what would you call them, objections to being able to stream with. One of the unique selling points of the GoPro Hero 7, which is my #1 camera, one of the unique selling points was you could stream live with it, and the phone is far easier. Yeah, of course. Touring cat. Yeah, the Hobie Pearl. If it's a new design, it's 18-foot boat. It's got a similar shaped hull to a Tiger, but it's got retractable centre boards, and you could put wings on it. Hold on, what's this say? I was thinking about streaming a little. Can I get that? Oh, beg your pardon. Sorry, I didn't manage to quite read all that. But as you were. Yeah, anything with wings for touring, but you want to be able to put it on the beach. So dagger boards, not so good. So like F18 sort of style boats, not so good. Hi, Jake. You plan to go around the island? Yeah, but not just now, I think. I'm going to wait for more wind. And I think once we've got everything built here at Wildwind, and there is then this legend of which they speak called Time on Your Hands, that will be when I'm going to bang it around the island. Any further with the Dolphin Striker? Actually, today, that's a good question, Paul. I have been measuring the widths of our 16s here, and how it changes with the Dolphin Striker tension. The boat which has got the most, whatever happened to the Pacific? Yeah, we've got Pacifics here, but they stopped building them. I don't know why they stopped building them. I think it's just because they weren't sexy enough. Pacific was replaced by the Pearl. Damien has in Mozambique, which is a very nice boat. The Pearl, more performance than the Pacific was. We lost your audio during the adjustment. Oh, sorry about that. Hopefully you've got it back. If you haven't, if we've still got no audio, let me know. Because I have no idea why that would be. Have we got audio now? Just let me know. It's back now. Okay, thanks. All good. Thank you. Yeah, so the Pacific would be a good choice, but I think the Classic 18 Magnum would be a good choice. But to be honest, the Pacific, which was mentioned just there, would be a great choice of a touring boat because it's got the skeg hulls, which means you can just run it up the beach and she'll love you for it. Whereas anything that's got centerboards or dagger boards aren't going to be quite as happy to be run up the beach. Like a Pacific, you could put on a stony beach and it wouldn't be destroyed. I think that is valuable as an option. So Pacific with some sort of Magnum wings ultimate touring boat. Hey Joe, can you describe technique on perfect or tacking? Was that perfect tacking? Okay, yeah, let's go through that. I think. All right. That is a very good technique related question. So here we go. Hello, we're back on the boat, getting out of this very comfortable position, and I'm just pulling the traveller in. I've pulled the jib in. Unfortunately, can't see everything at the same time, so maybe main sheet view is going to be the best view for you. All right, just getting the stick behind the, taking the stick so it's behind the trapezes and the shrouds, so it's going to be a bit easier for getting across. We have got a bit more breeze now. So, tacking, the procedure. First thing that's most important is your course. The course you should be starting on is an upwind course. So we've got the jib in fairly tight, and I'm watching the telltales on the jib, making sure they're both streaming straight back. If the outside one, the one we can see through the jib, isn't streaming straight back, then that means we're not close enough to the wind. So we'll make an adjustment with our steering. If the one on this side of the jib isn't going straight back, then perhaps we're too close to the wind, and we'll turn the boat away from the wind slightly. From there, that is the course, most important course. Next thing is, what are we doing with the main sheet? So what the mainsail is doing, that's going to help to push the boat up into the wind. So before the tack, we want to have the main sheet in tight. If you're pulling the main sheet in tight and you're becoming overpowered, then you can allow the boat to sail a bit closer to the wind to take care of that power, because that is also going to reduce your tacking angle. Once we're there, if you've got knees that still function, what you can do is arrange your legs, so that would be with both knees up, but what we're going to do is tuck the back knee under the front leg, and what that is going to do is put you onto your knees when you go into the middle of the boat, so it'll make it a very natural progression across the boat. Okay, of course we're going to check the area that we're going to tack into, which will be about 90 degrees behind your back, nothing there. And then when we're ready to go, just one thing you could do, take the main sheet out of the cleat and hold it, and we're then going to push the stick away, watching the jib. When the wind comes in the other side of the jib, releasing the main sheet. In a really light wind, we can pull the boom a little bit, moving across the boat, picking up the main sheet when we're in the middle of the boat. So just adjusting the camera, and as soon as you can, looking forwards. Got this tangled tiller extension thing going on again, and then once we're sailing again, if you are solo, that would be the time to sort the jib out. So get sailing first, and then sort the jib once everything else is taken care of. Okay, so here it is. It looks like we have got what we were looking for, which is wind. So hopefully that was a fairly decent explanation of the tack. Key points, sorry I can't read any comments there, but there'll be an opportunity at the end for any other questions, or after we've gone through. Key points of tacking will be your course, so get the boat as close to the wind as possible first, use the jib to determine what your course is going to be, and then the other key point is going to be what you're doing with the main sheet, which is really tight going into the tack and then loose once you're head to wind. Okay, we're going to go for it. We're going to try the trapeze. It is a little bit light for it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the wind might be blowing into the microphone a bit. So apologies for that. But so here we go. We're going to go out onto the trapeze. So I'm hooked on, front hand on the main sheet, back hand on the tiller extension, and I'm just first going to get my weight onto the trapeze. So we're in this hiking position on the trapeze, and on the helm, kind of using the main sheet a bit to keep my feet down. And then this is going to be the no hands technique for going out. So this is going to be back foot first. So taking the back foot out, front foot out, and there we are. And now that we're out on the trapeze, you get such a better view of the boat and everything that's going on. You can see the whole boat. You can move around much easier. Nice for sheeting in. Just going to bring in a bit more main sheet there. Now you can probably see I've got my feet very close together. That's going to make you less stable if you're not so experienced trapezing. So a wider stance on the trapeze like this is going to be more stable. But then as you get more confident, feet closer together, and then if there is a fair bit of wind, you want to be leaning back, shoulders back, looking forwards, because that is where you're going, that's where things are going to happen. So there we are. Very nice. Then coming back in from the trapeze, this is obviously on the helm. I'm going to reach down the tiller extension as far as I possibly can. Now I've got the main sheet out of the cleat. I'm going to put that in the stick hand and hold it. So I've now got the front hand free for the handle, and I'm just going to come in, bending the arm as I come in so that our course is the same. So the most important thing when you're going out or coming in from the trapeze is focusing on sailing the boat, so that the boat isn't going to make any course changes or anything as you move out. So what we can do, checking that I'm still hooked on, is we could just get to this position and we could quite happily sail along like that indefinitely. So we could just keep going like this, and then perhaps when you're in this position and you feel really stable, then you can start to move out. If you do need to use a hand to get out because you don't want to go out hands free, then you should go out back front foot first. So what we'll do is I'll take my hand on top of the stick, clamping the stick on the side of the boat. I don't know if you could see that. And then we'll go out front foot first. So that way you can use your hands to get out. Now if you want to use your hand on the side of the boat and the handle, okay, just going to come back in so we can demonstrate that. Okay, so if you want hand on the side and the handle, let's do that. Just going to get into this hanging position again. Now I've got the trapeze set fairly short, so I'm kind of hanging on the trapeze quite early and I can feel it. So what we can do is we'll put the stick, no we won't, we'll put the stick as we were just now, and then we'll put the main sheet on the handle. Yeah, to be honest, not a fan of using the handle. And then if we're going for a tack from the trapeze, we want to get across the boat quickly. So this is actually how I'd go about doing it. I'd move back slightly, that's going to lift me up a bit on the trapeze, sheeting in, uncleating, and then actually going to come in standing, because as we know, walking across the boat is much quicker. The wind just changed direction there as we came into that tack. Just getting the jib across. Hello, and we're back on board. Okay, why is Jake laughing? Who can say? How often do you race? Yeah, I get to, it's probably once a year I get to go to an event. Like this year we've got, hopefully it'll still go on, we've got the Tornado Worlds at the end of September, start of October. So hopefully by that time, well, it'll still be going on. But I generally go and do one tornado event in the year, which would usually be either a Worlds or a Europeans. Depends on the venue, because getting to places from here, especially with a boat, is reasonably tricky. So if the event is either in Italy or in Greece, then I can go. But if it's like in northern Germany, then it's just too far to go to, unfortunately. Nothing against northern Germany. But then realistically, if I'm going to go to an event, you know, as perhaps you might be able to guess, this is a really, really nice place and it's really nice to be here. But if you're going to go to the effort to go to an event, you don't want to be staying in a tent and it be raining every single day of the week when you've just driven for the best part of 2 days to get there. So I'm a bit of an event snob, being very honest there. I'll go to an event if it's in a place that I like the look of. Like the year before, was it the year before last? Oh, it was last year. Went to Rimini in Italy. Now that was nice. I'm now a big fan of Rimini in Italy. What a lovely town that is. I'd definitely go back there. If they could perhaps lay on a little bit more wind, that would be nice. But this year's Worlds are actually in Greece, which is, as you can imagine, extremely convenient. Very nice. Okay, so sensible, thank you. Which sailing boat would you recommend as the best shot for towing a surfer? Oh, great question. So guy on a surfboard behind the boat with a bit of rope, we're talking, I assume, anything will do it. But let's, you could, oh dear, low power on the phone. Hobie 16, easy. All you need is some wind and you can do it. We've done it in the past here, towing people on windsurf boards behind boats. We've towed people on a wakeboard behind a catamaran. Yeah, the Hobie 16 has got enough power to do it as long as there's enough wind. But with a bigger, more powerful boat like an F18 or a Tornado, then you just won't need quite as much wind to pull it. But I think the Hobie 16 or the Hobie 18 Classic, because the 18 Classic, I think, is the ultimate surf catamaran, iconic, because of the Sharing the Wind movie. So I'd say the 18 Classic, if you get to choose, would be a great choice. Okay. Hi Joe, hope you're well. Hi Duncan, yes, doing very nicely. Got some weird vibrations going through the rigging at the moment, which is odd. But other than that, everything is going nicely. I was able to get someone almost up on a monohull. Yeah, I'd say on a monohull, that is going to be difficult. You're going to need to have the kite up. And the thing is, with a monohull, to get the speed, you need to be planing. But having the guy off the back is going to stop you getting planing. Whereas in the catamaran, it's all just power and you're going to go. So the catamaran is definitely the one. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off by taking, I've got the GoPro with me as well. I'm just going to finish off by taking some pictures of the shoes on the trapeze. Hope you don't mind, but I think it's better that I don't just stop the live stream while I do this. You might as well come along for the ride, because that is of course fun. Sounds like my rudder hum. Yeah, this is actually some sort of weird rigging hum going on. All right, how are we doing there? Okay, so we're now juggling with another item. In fact, I'm going to go with the video. This is some real behind the scenes stuff to getting here. So I'm hooking on. Okay, here we go. Hi, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV, and I'm out sailing on a Hobie 16 with the Zero Shoes Colorado sandals. We're just checking out how they are on the trapeze. So there we go. Solid gold, I think that is. Right, now let's get some pictures. Hope you don't mind, though, just interfering with Okay, sorry, just had to fit that quick photo shoot in. And there we are, sheeting out, turning downwind. I don't have, oh, what have we got there? Stefan, your fingers remain dry. Oh, I think you're having a chat between you. Why am I not soften the gloves? That's how I live my life. Pretty cool to see. Now taping. Oh yeah. All right, go for a jibe. Okay, let's have a look at this jibe technique. Traveller should be out beyond the toe strap. Wind's pretty light, so I'm going into the middle of the boat first. Stick onto the new side, taking the stick with the new hand, giving it a push. Just guiding the main sheet across, so that way we know when it's coming across. And then there we are, looking forwards as soon as possible. So okay, thanks very much for tuning in today. Yeah, I'm going to log off now because I feel the battery is about to go on my telephone, and don't know how the picture is, but yeah, so thanks very much for tuning in and coming along for the ride. It's been a great pleasure. If you didn't know, and Bob's your uncle, yeah, the TotalJoyrider.com online store has risen from the ashes, and there's some great stuff in there. So if you want to help support the channel and you want to get yourself a nice t-shirt, head over to TotalJoyrider.com, and now got t-shirts, Hobie 16 ones, Hobie 18 and Formula 18 t-shirts, and I've got Dart 18 t-shirts about to go in there. So if you want to support the channel, that is a really good way of doing it, but it is going to take a little bit. Cheers, Bob. It's going to take a little bit of time for shipping with the global situation. So thanks everybody, thanks Kush, thanks for staying